So shall we call this to order? Okay, I have to use my script. The chair states that a quorum is present and calls the meeting to order. Okay, a quorum is present. I call this meeting of the Transit Advisory Group to order at 5 p.m. on the dot. I have to not read the directions. Okay, I will do roll call. Jeff Kosteka is our new member, and he is not present. He has an excused absence. Tim Caldwell.
Here.
Becky Kimball.
Here.
John Kraska.
Here.
There's Brandon Maxwell. Can't hear you. Dave Nakagawara.
Here.
Scott Walker. Okay. And myself, Debbie Yankee, I'm the current chair. Okay, we have public comment. I know that there is one written public comment in the packet. I don't know if staff want to address that, but can I call for public comment first? Is there any member of the public that wishes to make public comment? If you are online, please raise your hand. If you are on the phone, press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. Do we have any public present that wants to make a comment? Do we wish to address the comment that was received for the authority board meeting?
Sure. A public comment, a written public comment was submitted for both the authority board and for TAG, and that public comment was included in your packet. It was addressing the trolley and the, I guess, the ongoing dislike of the trolley by this individual. And then also talking about a ride share possibility or an on-demand Uber type possibility to replace the number 11 downtown shuttle route. And there were some links included in that comment. It looks like Bellevue might be trying something as far as a community Uber or something for the downtown area. So my comment to the board was, the trolley is what it is. We have it, and I'm sorry that this individual doesn't like the trolley. The trolley is, we do actually receive a lot of positive feedback regarding the trolley from community members and visitors alike. So we are getting more positive comments about the trolley than we are negative comments about the trolley. As far as an Uber type service model for the downtown area, Jefferson Transit this year is working on a comprehensive operational analysis where our intent is to hire a consultant to kind of help us look at our existing service, where we're providing service, how we're providing service, what types of vehicles we're providing that service in. And I think the data from that consultant is going to help us make some informed decisions about changes to our existing service model. So I appreciate the comment, and I appreciate being just cued into what maybe some different communities are providing, but I think we're on the right track as far as looking at some of these things. So those were my comments to the board and to TAG.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to comment on the public comment?
Well, I noticed that the comment was concerned about he called it a fossil fuel burning trolley. And I know it's diesel, but is it burning biodiesel?
It is biodiesel. All of our vehicles are biodiesel.
Well, that's what I thought. So I think, the fact that it's not a fossil fuel burning.
Right.
Anyone else?
That was his complaint, was that it was fossil fuel burning and not the design.
That it's a virtually empty bus, is in his opinion, and that we should trade it in while it still has some value and get something else. And I don't think there's an awareness of how long it takes from order to receipt for buses.
And once you buy a vehicle with grant funding, you can't just trade it in. You keep it for its entire useful life. But the possibility of reselling that vehicle is not a possibility. So it's not like buying a personal vehicle.
Does it make sense to reach out and invite that person to join this advisory group, since he seems to have an interest?
We have done social media posts. We have been alerting the community that if folks are interested in joining this group, that they can. I think we've made it pretty clear on how you can join if you like. So, we would happily accept an application.
That's it for the public comment. We will move on to the consent agenda, and I believe our consent agenda just contains our draft minutes. Do we have any changes to the draft minutes, or do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second,
Then second, okay.
Who seconded?
Becky. Any further comment? If not, all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
aye.
Minutes are approved unanimously. Thank you. We're going to move on to the JTA board update. Is there a member of the board on?
There is not, but I can give a brief update if the group would like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just reviewing what the board was on the board's agenda. There was a reorganization of the board. So the board chair is Councilman Ben Thomas. Vice chair is Port Townsend School Board member John Nowak. So those will be your chair and your vice chair for the year. We looked at tag representation. We did talk about whether or not we wanted to adjust who would be the board representative for this group. They decided to postpone that talk because Commissioner Kate Dean was not at the last board meeting, and she's typically the one that joins this one. So there'll be more discussion about that in April. We talked about the new website project and the website working group. Kelly will also talk about that. That's on our agenda today as well. We did a Title VI plan update. They passed or are allowing me to purchase some Induct EV chargers. And that is, we need those chargers in order to complete our infrastructure project at 63 Four Corners. So those chargers have been ordered. We talked about tabling events, and really that was a discussion. I put a bug in the board's ear about we will be hosting some tabling events and if they would like to participate. And we pushed the fair because the fair always falls on our state conference each year, and so it's difficult for us to staff the fair booth. So we were just really kind of putting a bug in their ear about tabling events. We also had a quick discussion about kind of an idea that Councilman Thomas had in regards to poetry on the buses, incorporating the new poet laureate for City of Port Townsend and trying to maybe incorporate some poetry and include that in the shelters and maybe on some of our buses. So we had a brief discussion about that. So overall, it was a good meeting, but I don't know that there was anything exciting that was discussed. So it was a productive meeting.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, we're going to, does anyone have any questions about that before we move on? I don't see any nods. Okay. Then we have moved on to new agenda items. Do any TAG members have a new item that they would like to add to the agenda at this meeting? Go ahead,
Yeah.
Scott.
Becky and I should just give you a little update on our upcoming conference.
Where would we like to put that? Under unfinished business, new business?
Probably new business.
New business, okay, we'll get you at new business if that's all right with you.
Fine.
New meeting, okay. Okay, so let us move on then to unfinished business. First item is public outreach update.
All right, I will give a brief update. There were items in the packet, but I'll just go over it briefly. So we have continued growth in following for social media, and I put the numbers on there. Just to explain, I do put March, even though the packet went out in February, just because I want to match up with our meetings. So it's very close to the beginning of March. Easy. We implemented QR Tiger, and QR Tiger is a QR code generator that allows us to have dynamic QR codes, so you can actually track the analytics of the QR codes and see how many people are scanning them and kind of the location. So that's pretty exciting. I put in there at the time that I checked how many people had scanned, and it's not monumental numbers right now, but we just redid these QR code flyers and put them back in the shelters once we had that at the beginning of the year. So it is kind of exciting just to see, like, we can track them and where people are and how many. The Rider Alert one is the most popular one at the moment, but from these we are getting more people to our website and hopefully to follow us on Facebook and sign up for Rider Alerts.
And just exactly, you can explain Rider Alert. If you're at the bus stop and you scan that, what is that telling the rider?
So I'm glad you brought that up, and let me just back up a little bit.
Okay.
So we just started the new Rider Alert system, Simplified Transit, and so we're actually hoping that you guys will all sign up for it as well. And when you scan this, it takes you to our Rider Alert page where there's a button to sign up for Rider Alerts, and then you can also see all of the current Rider Alerts that are embedded in the page. I can send you guys all a link after the meeting to the sign up page, and if you guys all sign up, then you can pick if you want to sign up for certain routes. You can actually go in depth and pick different stops. There's certain stops for the route, and then also you can sign up for the public meetings, and you can pick tag or the board to get notified when the meeting packet goes out. So,
And is it correct that you can sign up for text or email? Is that
Yes.
Yeah, which
text and email.
yeah,
So
text
I'll
was not available
send-
when I first tried to sign up. So
Oh, yeah,
it is now.
it is nice, and the format is completely different than our old system, which we had some complaints about how the visibility was. So I think they look a lot better now. So I would encourage you guys to sign up for them. I'll send you the link. Check it out and see how you like the new system.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Great.
Let's see. Also for social media engagement, we did a few paid recruitment ads, and I believe that doing the recruitment ads through social media has gotten us a lot more applications than in the past, or doing them through the leader. So we're continuing to do that. We are brainstorming ideas for West End marketing and outreach. So I'm in the process of creating an ad for the Forks Forum, and it's through the Peninsula Daily News to help promote the route and also promote getting a tag member on the West End. So that will be
Good
going out
idea.
soon. It's in draft process, trying to finalize it. So hopefully we will get an application after that goes out. We're looking into tabling events in Forks, maybe Quinault and Claylock. There's not a whole lot going on out there, but we have heard of a few. Like there's a parade and a farmer's market, I think. So more to come on when we have details and dates, if we might want some help from you guys for tabling. I know that is quite a ways to go, so we'll have to figure out the details on that.
Oh, Scott will just hike it. It'll be fine.
Yes.
The JTOC route, I'm assuming that's completely around the Olympic
No,
Peninsula.
that's just
Yeah,
JTOC.
that's,
That's West End.
Olympic Connection, Jefferson Transit Olympic Connection. So that's the Forks to Amanda Park route.
But well, if you can though go completely around the Olympic Peninsula.
You
Right.
can, but Jefferson Transit only operates the Forks to Amanda Park.
But Clallam connects to that. and then
Right.
Grays Harbor
Grays
connects.
Harbor, right.
We connect on the other end of that.
Yeah.
And, okay, I just, way back when, we actually had a schedule on how you could go completely around the peninsula. You had to spend a couple of nights in different places, but I thought that's what I first thought, that wasn't, that's what it was, but
I mean, I
excuse me.
think that that's a good future thing to look into promoting. Right now, I want to work on promoting all the recreation that's along the route. I just did the trip with another coworker to get pictures of the route and the stops for helping with promoting it. And there's so many beautiful campgrounds and forests and parks and trailheads and hiking along the route. So I would like to work on some sort of marketing and outreach for that.
Well, and you mentioned too, the Tourism Advisory Group member from the West End.
Yes.
So who, and I'm still on the mailing list for the Olympic Peninsula Tourism Group that meets out at Ludlow. Is Transit involved with that? With the tourism, it's basically the county's hotel motel tax organization that meets with the Olympic Peninsula. And I was curious if Transit has any representation on that.
I don't
What's
believe
that group
so.
called?
It's the Olympic Peninsula Tourism, and the city has its lodging tax advisory committee, and the county has a Olympic Peninsula that has this tourism advisory group. And the West End should be represented in that tourism advisory group, but they're the ones now that are running the stop at 104-19, since the museum gave up that property. So the tourism advisory group is now operating that. And
Okay, I'll look into that.
I just, that's really, I think, critical. We'll save it for later, but we talk about the bus routes that, are part of our new business, so.
Okay,
But thank you.
Okay.
That's very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I have to share for outreach. Does anyone have any questions?
any questions?
No questions, but great work, Kelly.
Yeah.
Because people ask about getting out to trailheads pretty often.
Yes.
So that would be great.
In fact, my nephew is here, and he was looking for a way to get out to the coast. And though it's possible that the connection from Forks to La Push would have him waiting way too long in Forks for the bus, or leaving here very early and then waiting for the bus. So it's not your problem. It's a Clallam Transit issue.
Yes. Anything else for Kelly on this subject? Looks like we can move on. Tag member bus riding report out. Has anybody up there in Zoom land ridden the bus since our last meeting? Yay! Did you talk to anybody, Dave?
Yeah, I've done a couple things. One of them is I had an opportunity to take the, I think it was the 6A, and instead of just going directly to my destination, I kind of rode the whole loop, which was interesting. And I took a connector using the downtown shuttle from my place of work. I was trying to get to my my vehicle that was being worked on in the shop, so it was good to ride a route I've never ridden before, per se. And as far as discussions go, I've been actually talking to some coworkers and former coworkers, asking them the question, why don't you ride the bus more or at all or anymore? So I got some pretty good feedback there. And I'm kind of going to be compiling that kind of thing. I don't know if I'm ready to share all those thoughts yet, but getting some really interesting feedback, and
Good.
also even pose the question for some of my commuter friends that are coming from a different city altogether, if they're aware of the van pool option, and looking to see, maybe I need to educate myself a little bit more about how that works. So maybe in a future meeting,
Maybe
we'll
we
be
could have that as
requesting maybe a real short presentation on
Yeah,
what
topic
we
on
have
November
and how
meeting.
that works.
Yes, good. And John, you said have been writing and
Well,
talking to
I,
people?
I have been riding the Dial-A-Ride bus, and that's always works out well for me. But I plan to start riding the 11 again
Oh, good.
now that the weather's an issue for me with my power wheelchair. But when the weather gets better, I'll start riding the 11 again.
Great. Anybody else? Scott?
Like Dave, I used the transit one time to pick up my car. Which,
Should we be admitting that?
no, it's very
That's funny.
convenient that all the routes that run on Upper Sims Way. So I was just able to walk out of the repair place and stand on Sims for about 3 minutes, and a bus came by. I don't know which one it was, whether it was
You
a
got
Squim
on.
bus. Well, it could have been the Squim bus too. I'm not sure. And just to ride it back down to the park and ride, and then I walked home from there.
Great. Anyone else up in Zoom land? Brandon?
Nope. I did not ride the bus.
Okay. Tim?
I have
Oh,
I have
go
an
ahead, Becky.
excuse. I didn't ride the bus, but I have an excuse. So
They
I had
take dogs, you know.
Well, I had an ancient dog that couldn't leave the house. It was deaf and blind, which Nicole and you are very familiar with. And I took care of him. And then in our delusional moment, we got a puppy. So I haven't even left the house. But I had plans to ride it out to Fort Worden and hike and come back. So I will between now and our next meeting.
And my only excuse is every time I set aside time to do it, we had snow. And we got notices that the bus couldn't get to the place I was going. So that's a very poor excuse, but that's the only excuse I have. I will try hard. And yeah, if you can write down your conversations and what you perceive from other people, I think that would be really helpful to staff. But I am guilty of not doing any of that.
One of Becky's and my excuses is the bus doesn't actually stop in front of our house. It stops 2 blocks away.
That is not an excuse.
2 blocks is a long way. I get it.
I do, Dave, I appreciate that you're talking and gathering feedback. And I think what will be interesting is when we get to the point where we are starting to do public engagement regarding our service, what service we're providing. I think it'll be helpful if you can then reach out to those folks and say, here's your chance to provide us some real feedback. So I'm excited to hear that, you're out there and you're talking and I mean, you've got enough information that you'll be compiling information. That's exciting. Because I do think this year we're going to have a time where we're really going to want to be able to reconnect with those individuals and say, okay, now here's your chance to really let us know, are we missing the mark? Are we making it difficult for you to choose to ride transit? How can we make it easier? That kind of thing. So I think it's exciting that just to hear that you've been talking to some people who may have some really good feedback for us about what would make it easier for them to choose to ride transit or if they have to ride transit.
Yeah, it's been interesting because I have been talking to some people who you could characterize as former, more frequent riders who have chosen maybe to ease back a little bit. So, and then maybe a mea culpa here. When I did go to pick up my car, it also involved about a 20-minute walk for me from the bus stop to where the shop was off of Martin Road. So it's really cool to kind of explore some of this multimodal stuff and find out what some of the obstacles are in terms of how that's too long of a walk, or that's not frequent enough, or it didn't get to my destination before the shop closed. So but yeah, I will be trying to get a little bit more intentional about, collecting that information and collecting that contact information.
Very good.
Okay, anyone else have something to say about riding the bus? Looks like not at this time, okay. Then we will move on to 2024 tabling, and I believe, I'm not sure which staff member is going to take this. We have a schedule in our packet.
So Kelly compiled just a little spreadsheet in the packet. We lined out some of the times where we know we'll want to do some tabling. The first thing on our list is Jefferson Transit has signed up to participate in the connectivity fair, which in the packet it says Blue Heron Middle School, but I think it's been relocated to Chimicum. And that's on April 20th. So that's an opportunity. We would like to schedule some farmers markets. We are starting to think about our climate action plan, and we are hoping to get a survey out to the public. I was really pushing for having it go live April 19th because of the
Connectivity.
the conference, the TLAB conference, moving in the right direction, which we'll talk about. But having so many people there and having a table at that conference, I think that would be a good opportunity for us to interact and say, hey, by the way, we have a public survey out there, but also for the connectivity fair, when we're interacting, being able to direct folks to that survey, but also maybe trying to get farmers markets scheduled while that survey is open too, just to try to get a little bit more of a response. When we did our long range plan, we had, I want to say about 135 survey responses, and I felt like that was really low. So I would love to see more people engage with our survey. But anyway, Kelly has included farmers market dates on here for both Port Townsend and Chimicum. We also listed the Jefferson County Fair, which, like I've said before, that's just a real tough weekend for us. The State Transportation Conference is being held in the Tri-Cities. So again, that means a long drive for attendees. Typically, we're having to leave for that conference on a Saturday or a Sunday. So it just makes it hard for us to also staff the fair. So anyone who's excited, mark your calendars. We could definitely use your help for the fair. We also put Wooden Boat on here. I don't know that we necessarily tabled at Wooden Boat. We have the Quilcene Fair, which is Saturday, September 21st. That's the weekend after. Is that the weekend after Wooden Boat? I thought it was the weekend after. Maybe not. Last year, it fell the weekend after Wooden Boat, and we were all really exhausted. We powered through, but we were really tired.
Yeah, you get a week between because it's the first
It wouldn't go to
weekend
6 to
after
8.
Labor Day.
and
So
Yeah, I
Maybe a
remember the
week in
Quilcene Fair was right after Wooden Boat last year,
Yes.
and none of us wanted to go. We did. We would have preferred a weekend of breather.
Actually, Quilcene Fair, I was there.
Yeah.
And Monica
Well,
Taylor
I'm
was
glad.
there.
See, and we needed you. We
And-
needed you
yeah.
because my heart was not in it.
I don't blame you.
It was not in it. We're also thinking about signing up for the all county picnic this year. We haven't done that since I've been here, and that will be August 18th. But we're talking about maybe trying to do something at the hospital. And then also we're looking for ways that we can better engage with the West End. So maybe tabling an
somewhere.
event, something in that area as well.
Great. Do we have, go ahead, Becky.
Oh, have you considered anything around the Rhodey Festival? You know, there are lots of locals there. I don't know which event. What do you think, Tim and Scott? I mean, what do you guys think about what event? The Rhodey Run? I don't know.
yeah, it's week long calendar. So,
Right.
yeah, that would be,
I'm just not
Yeah.
sure
Which,
like where.
other than maybe have a parade, a presence in the parade or something like that.
Well,
yes.
we did last year and we won an award.
All right. There you go.
And I think it's still in our lobby. That's how excited we were. So we're definitely have some kind of vehicle in the parade.
is the presence of some sort. Okay.
But as far as a table, I'm
Okay.
open. I'm not open to it. I'm not sure which one. Scott?
Go ahead, Scott.
Just thinking that the cake
Cake picnic?
cake picnic after the parade is the place where people are least invested in what's going on, other than the cake that's in front of them and on the napkin they're eating off of. So that may be and it's a place where a lot of people gather.
Yeah.
And it's after the parade, so you're in the parade, Nicole, but afterwards you're not, of course, and you're available to do that, or someone's available to do that.
I guess I didn't realize there was a cake situation after the parade.
Yeah, well, we've had the cake picnic, right? Is that what it's called? Yeah, that's, Danny Milholland has been doing that for, I don't know.
Where's the cake?
It's down at Pope Marine, isn't it?
Pope Marine.
Yeah,
Yep.
at the end of the parade, and they make it cakes and everybody gets a piece of cake and,
I had no idea.
well, there you go.
Also thinking that there's a potential not for tabling, but for some kind of a deviated route to carry people like from the end of the parade back uptown, back up Monroe, back up Washington Street, because there's a huge amount of foot traffic trying to get back to their vehicles, which are parked all the way out to Blaine Street and on all the minor streets uptown.
I will say the parade is, just from an operational perspective, it's tricky because they tell us when they're going to shut down the roads and then they shut them down earlier and then we can't get through and then we've disappointed people. So it's, and then, yes, I hear you. But what concerns me is publishing something and then not being able to meet that expectation,
Right.
because roads aren't fully opened at that point.
And buses are big.
Just off the top of my head, I'm thinking like if you stashed a bus at Point Hudson, when the parade was over and people knew that there was a bus there, they could catch that going back against the route of the parade, which should be open at that point because the parade is over. Now you got to make sure you're there before they close the access to it. That seems
I like how you just said stash a bus.
well, and the bus can't go anywhere. There's like
Put them in one of the little greenhouses down there.
I have that in quotes, stash a bus. Okay.
Yeah.
But I just say, like the number 11, it can't go anywhere during the parade.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You could
Okay.
have both number
Good
11
idea.
down.
Yep. My question is there anybody here that's willing to volunteer for any of these tabling events? I can do any of them, but I'd really rather not do the whole day by myself. Becky, good.
Yep, well, I'm good. I'm good for the farmers markets.
Okay. Preferably Port Townsend Farmer Market or where?
Oh, yeah, definitely the Port Townsend. Yeah,
Okay.
the
When you
Chima
say-
comes
I
hard
think
for
you
me
usually
to
divide
get
it into
to.
2 shifts. Are you a morning or an afternoon shift?
I'm acceptable for either.
Okay, great.
Yeah, because I'm a regular at the market, so I'll be going there anyway.
Okay, good. Anybody else willing to raise their hand at this point, or you're all looking away from the screen?
I'll do some too.
What you want to do? Chimacum Farmers Market this time, Brandon?
Probably. But let me actually look at the schedule and then can I follow up?
Yeah, follow up with Kelly or
Okay.
Nicole and pick something. That would be great.
Yeah,
No
I'll do
problem.
the same.
And I'm an afternoon person, so
Okay, afternoon.
Yeah, maybe
I like to be lazy in the mornings.
Okay.
pick a couple of dates that you guys are available, and then I can share around and make sure we can fully staff. And then we'll probably do 3 in Port Townsend like we did
Mm.
last year, maybe 1 in Chewicum
Okay.
for the farmers market, so it's not too
And,
much.
and I can do any of them, but it's nice to have two people so you have the opportunity to go to the bathroom if you need to, or things like that. And
Yeah, that,
okay. And Dave, do you have a preference? You said you could participate?
Yeah, I'll find some dates, but I like Chimicum.
Okay. Great. Does that help?
Closer
Okay.
for me.
And say again?
Yeah, it's just closer for me.
Okay,
So, yeah. Hmm.
great.
And I can help with the fair. I
Which
love
fair?
the county, Jefferson County here. I love people watching at the fair. So
I enjoyed the fair last year too.
Yes.
Debbie and I had a great time.
Yes, we did. Okay, that looks like we've managed that. We're going to move on to the new website project.
All right, so I just have an update for you guys on where we're at. So the design team and our 3 tag members that are in the website working group helped us score the RFPs that we got, and they also attended the demos that they could make, and they helped us score the demos. So with all of the information we had and feedback, we have chosen to move forward with Civic Plus. They seem like they have the most government experience, and they have the best technology, and the back end where we're actually going to be working on and building out the pages seemed like it was the most robust. So right now we are working on getting the contract signed, and then the next steps is they will set up a kickoff meeting to kind of just ask us, go through the design process and the timeline, so what we know to expect. I did a little summary for the board at their meeting as well, and we asked for one of them to volunteer to be on the website working group, and we had 3 volunteers. So we will be including them for key points throughout the process as well to get their feedback. And we asked them what the most important feature to them would be on the website. So we got some good feedback from them. So I will keep the working group updated with the next steps through email, and then I'll probably give another update at the next meeting. Do you guys have any questions about that?
Any questions up there? No?
it's fabulous.
No, it's great.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for participating in that. Okay, we have climate action plan update.
So we had our kickoff meeting for the climate action plan in early January. The group, our consultants have been hard at work gathering information. We've been really working on setting the baseline of 2022 for our greenhouse gas emissions. So the group is working on that. They'll be presenting at the board meeting in April. Right now, also, we are solidifying the survey that will be going out to the public. We are also working on our engagement plan. We'll be hosting some live engagement, public engagements towards the end of the summer, early September. So we're excited about that. Again, Peak Sustainability will be coming to the board meeting and presenting there. I would love for our homework assignment to be to watch. You don't need to watch the entire board meeting, but maybe the section where they come and present. What I'd like to avoid is having them present the same information twice. If we can go back and just do a little homework and watch that presentation. They will also be coming to the TAG group to talk, to give a similar update, but probably not as in-depth as with the board. But again, we're really excited about launching a survey, just a community engagement survey, get some feedback from the community about the direction that we're going, and anything that the community would like to see in the survey. I'll keep this group updated when it does go live. We'll be doing some social media announcements. We'll be having a whole campaign surrounding that. But again, our goal is to have it for the TLAB conference, moving in the right direction in mid to late April. So right now that's where we're at. We're still just doing a lot of the background work on that plan. But I think in April we'll have just some good information to present to the board and for TAG in come May.
Great. Scott.
Question for you, Nicole. A couple of years ago when we were working on the long range plan, we know that what got included in there was that reducing community greenhouse gases through the use of transit.
Mm-hmm.
That was much more important than reducing transit's greenhouse gases. In fact, if we do it right, transit's greenhouse gases go up and the communities go down. I think, and it's actually not transit's responsibility to reduce the community greenhouse gases, to be the catalyst to reduce it, but transit has to be there to catch the change in mode choice from people driving their vehicles to the car repair shop Dave and I do. Just a little aside there, but I think you understand what I mean. And,
Yeah.
and I think that needs to be part of the consultant's statement, at least, that to effectively reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the community, transit advocates for, as you know, removing the subsidy and incentive to drive single occupant vehicles and thus make it much more convenient for people to take transit.
We have had some good conversations with Peak about that. I think at first there was a talk amongst the group about how can this plan be more than what it should be. So there was talk about how can we, reduce the entire community's, greenhouse gas emissions. And really our message, and I think the message we've settled on, is getting more people riding transit will in turn affect the larger community. So how can we at Jefferson Transit be focusing on getting more folks riding, but then also internally, what can we as an agency be doing to help lower our own greenhouse gas emissions? So if that's, looking at our internal practices, there's goals that we can set for ourselves that I think will be important. There are things that we should be looking at doing for the community to get more community members riding transit, which will in turn affect the community. So much to your point, Scott, let's figure out how to get more people onto transit, but then also as an agency, let's look for ways that we can do better ourselves.
Let me add that for 30 seconds here, that the city of Port Townsend on Monday passed an interim ordinance, good for 6 months, extendable beyond that for 2 more 6 months sessions, to rescind all off-street parking requirements for developments within the city. Hopefully we can get the county to do that too, and then hopefully very soon the city will institute paid parking requirements in the downtown commercial area, which then should encourage more people who work and live downtown to use transit.
Yes.
So anyway, there's been a tectonic shift in terms of development regulations at this point. And Dave, you know that because you worked in planning.
Yeah, and governments are not normally tectonic, so it's a good move. And I just want to reiterate, I think people, certainly the public comment we had today also, is this notion that the bus has to be packed full of people for it to change the footprint. And if a bus gets 5 miles a gallon and cars get 25 miles a gallon, you only have to take 5 cars off the road to break even. And so this it's an incorrect notion to believe that every seat on a bus has to be full in order to accomplish a change. It's helpful, but it's not required. Becky.
Well, I'm just so delighted that you brought that up, because I think that that could be a big PR piece of this, right? To just, and I've seen this in other transit plans, climate action plans, is to speak to the public and help them understand that you don't have to have just what you said, a packed bus. You know, give them all the data and let them know.
I agree.
Yeah. Great.
How would everyone feel about if we just, we're going to go into new business next. Could we go into the T-Lab conference as the first thing under new business? Would that be okay, since it's also climate? And just continue the conversation about the T-Lab conference? Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Looks like the
We just
puppy
lost Scott.
Yeah, puppy might be doing structural damage downstairs.
I just want to get some notes on that.
Okay.
I'll let Scott talk.
So we have the conference, many parts of it nailed down. It looks like it's going to happen, and we're just playing catch up at this point. Those of us on the T-Lab, and that's Dave Tilk, Becky, and I, and with help from Jeff Kostechka and Lara Gosland, Carol McCreary. Anyway, April 19th, 9 to 4 at the American Legion. We have nailed down 3 speakers at this point, 3 presenters. One is, again, Mike McGinn is coming back. Mike McGinn again. He, as most of you know, but I'll tell you, he's the executive director of America Walks, which is out of Washington, D.C., actually out of Alexandria, Virginia. We also have Anna Zivarts coming. She's the director of Disability Mobility Initiative and Disability Rights Washington. She is a bicyclist for life because she's legally not allowed to drive. She has a vision impairment. It allows her to ride a bicycle, of course, but not drive. She's a former bike racer and pretty much does everything she can. All her mobility is via bicycle. And she's a inspirational speaker. We also have Ariel Sullivan, who's going to facilitate the event to keep Becky, Dave, and I in the background this year. She's the principal of a consulting firm called Conscious Transformation Agents. And her specialty is helping large organizations shift their focus from where they've always gone to where they really want to go. And it seemed like a very good fit for us in this year of comprehensive plan updates. We're looking at a couple more people. Becky did try and get Henry Grabar, who wrote Paved Paradise and How Parking Explains Everything. And he got back to her and said he'd love to next year. We got that from a couple of other people. And so I guess we're planning another one next year, even though both the 3 of us said this is enough. There'll be activities for people to get involved in. And the key this year will be coming up with of each table coming up with a vision for how they want the transportation element of both the city and the county comp plans to reflect the goals that we'll be exploring during the day, and hopefully then carry that forward into the comp plan process itself. So we're pretty excited. We're also pretty overwhelmed.
Good.
Did I miss anything, Becky?
No, just that last year it was really well received by staff, both city and county, and as well as some elected folks and the community. And we came up with a method so that people couldn't all sit together and they had to sit at different tables. And that seemed to work out really well. And there'll be a lot of opportunity for people to participate. Last year, they were asked to do like a little engineering, but instead of that, it will be more of kind of a gestalt, like a vision for the transportation changes in the comp plan and how to participate, how to be a responsible citizen participant in this. And then Scott and Dave and I and the other volunteers will be able to walk around to the tables, because Debbie and I talked about this, and help people a little bit. So
We'll be able to do that this year because we've got Ariel emceeing the whole thing instead of us having to MC it. And
Yeah.
of course, we could use volunteers to help us set up. And otherwise, we've got the coffee arranged, we've got lunch arranged, we've got the venue taken care of. We still have to figure out the insurance.
Great.
And we can only guess at how many people are going to show up. But last year we had altogether about 95 or so. So if last year was any indication, and people are still carrying that little bit of excitement with them, I think we'll probably see about 125 this year. I could hope.
Great.
And it was about a third city, county, port staff and electeds, and about a third advisory board members, various advisory boards, and about another third of interested residents. And people were they were involved, invested.
Definitely.
So
When and where?
April 19th at the Legion.
Okay.
And we'll have more information as we don't have everything nailed down to where we want to print it and send it out yet.
But you will notify us all by email because we don't have another meeting before then. So you will keep us informed. Okay, Tim had a question.
Yeah, I was curious, you kind of mentioned who you think would be there. Do you expect this to be the vehicle for what gets into the comp plan in terms of any policy revisions or even action items? Is that the intent, or is that the hope of this?
That's an interesting question. Yesterday I met with the county executive and Kate Dean, who represents the city on the county commission, and they expressed interest in having us come out of this event with vision statement, at least, that they can then move into the comp plan or move to the comp plan process for the citizens, the larger group of the citizens to work on. So yes, sort of, Tim. That's the answer to that question. We won't get into the nuts and bolts. No, we won't do that.
Okay, that was my question, is if they're looking for a general statement to come out of there that, yeah, we believe in non-motorized transportation, that's fine, but are you planning to hone in on something that could be a tipping point? We're talking about the tectonic shift here in what's going on in terms of housing development. So do you hope, is there a hope that you could really push a button here?
Yes. The theme of this, the title of it is Moving in the Right Direction, and the theme is the intersection of transportation with housing, health, equity, financial vitality, environmental, climate change, and how transportation choices intersect with all that and can either improve those situations or exacerbate them into being worse. So yes, we hope that those vision statements aren't so general that they don't mean anything, but actually, they could be a vision statement, I guess, with bullet points afterwards that mean that they get a little bit deeper into detail. That could be what comes out. We haven't got this nailed yet, but I love your question, and that's exactly where we're working towards.
Great. Becky?
I just want to add one more thing, and we're planning on having people become familiar with at least part of the already existing non-motorized plan, right? Plans, so that they will be more specific. They will see what's already been planned before and what we didn't implement or what we should change. So I think there will be some specifics, but anyway, y'all come. It was really great last year.
Well, it sounds good. I've worked with Anna Ziva on disability mobility, and think a lot of her.
Great.
Yeah. fabulous.
You approve of this choice, John?
Yes, yes,
Good.
indeed.
Any further questions on this subject, or should we
Hope
move
to see
on?
Tim there. I love the way he thinks, and I've been working with you, Tim, now more than 20 years on transit issues. So hope you're available.
We'll get there.
Yep,
Good.
good. Okay. Then if that's the end of that, we're going to move on here to recommendations to the board. Bylaws update, section 6. I have to find my document. Oops, go back. I'm sorry.
I think it's page 10 in the packet.
I don't have the whole packet, I just have it as individual things. Hang on. Bylaws, where did they go?
Do you want the printout of it?
I got them. I'm just slow. Okay, I am going to start out by saying I'm embarrassed because I should have read our bylaws a little more carefully because I think they're sufficient to deal with unexcused absences and excused absences, but the floor is open for anybody who would like to suggest changes if you don't approve. Mostly we just want people, I mean, you can have as many excused absences as are necessary, you just need to allow staff to know that you're not going to be here or ask for an excused absence after the fact. That's the part that I missed. Does anybody wish to address this subject, or shall we all nod our heads and say this is sufficient?
It looked good to me. It looked like what we talked about last time.
Right, and I honestly didn't realize that they could ask for reconsideration at the next meeting, so I think it's well covered. Does anyone want to recommend any changes that we would put before the authority board?
I'm fine with the way it is.
Okay. Okay, I see lots of agreement with what we have standing. Is that sufficient? We don't need to ask to have them changed, that we all agree that we can follow these rules.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Excuse me. Okay, then I will very quickly go on to the comprehensive operational analysis project.
I had mentioned at the last TAG meeting that one of the goals for this year was for JTA staff to go out and find a consultant to help us do a comprehensive operational analysis. In early or late January, early February, we did put out an RFP for this project. That RFP closed on Monday, and we had no respondents. So unfortunately, you know, I'm a lady with a plan, and this really derailed my plans. So I'm sad about it. My goal was for us to sign a consultant at the April meeting. So my plan was to be here today to ask for someone to help be on the scoring committee, but that will not be necessary right now. I think I know why no one responded. We did have a few folks respond, but they responded to say they didn't have the capacity to help us with the project. Jamie Brooke and I are reaching out to some of those individuals to find out maybe what would have made our project a little bit more enticing. I think I know what the answer is. So we will re-strategize, and hopefully I'll have another update for you. This is definitely something that Jefferson Transit needs, and I really do like to follow, okay, we do step 1 and then we do step 2 and then we move to step 3. And I see step 3 or step 4 is, do we start looking at an on-demand type of service? Do we start looking at maybe changing some routes? I don't think that we can do that until we have the data to back it up, and that's what this plan is. So Jamie and I and Miranda are going to re-strategize. We may be going to the board with a request but this is still really a top priority for us, but I just don't have, I don't have the capacity, I don't need your help right now. But probably in May, this will be a topic, and I might be asking or updating this group then.
Great. Go ahead, Tim.
Yes, is this like an audit? Is this primarily an audit?
It is. It's. I've had some really good discussions with Jim Fetzer, who's the general manager with Column Transit, and this is really what they did prior to rolling out their on-demand service. But this consultant really did a good job. Their consultant did a really great job of looking at what were their existing routes, what routes were working. They did a lot of work as far as tracking who was riding. They broke it down by how much, was Clallam Transit spending on each particular route. Would a different service model work better for them? But they also gave a lot of suggestions for how Clallam Transit could grow, attract more ridership, be the first choice for communities instead of the second choice or third choice, meaning how do we get people out of cars and onto buses. I'm excited about this. So we're going to move forward. This is just a little opportunity for us to recalibrate and come up with a game plan for putting together an RFP that's a little bit more attractive for consultants.
So this also includes then a marketing plan that it would be part of the.
Yes, so there would definitely be a public outreach piece with this, because again, just like with our climate action plan, these consultants are not here to serve JTA staff. They're here to serve the community at large. So we really are looking at what is the community asking for. What are our existing routes doing? I really can get excited about the idea of what does it look like if we're not maybe buying really big buses. So maybe moving, do we need as many 35-foot Gillig buses, or could we get away with some smaller vehicles that will do just as much as a Gillig can do? I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to grow and change. And, what if we're not spending that much on those buses, but we can buy 3 instead of just 1? And what does it look like if we're tweaking our routes to really meet the needs of the community, and thinking about density and where do we need to be? Where is the community growing? How can we be there? All of these questions. We have some just real big questions that before we start dismantling what we currently have, I think we need some data to help guide us to move into a different direction. So we're going to recalibrate. We'll revisit this topic at our May meeting. But regardless of when we kick this off, we're definitely going to need some assistance from TAG, some input. This is, our climate action plan. We're going to be including, TAG in this. This is definitely where we're going to need some help, especially with you riding transit. You're providing good feedback for us. Dave's out there compiling data. I love it. So what does that look like? Who do we reach out to? We at Transit, we keep a log of when people have some really great ideas about service. We're going to be, reaching back out to those folks saying, hey, fill out our survey or help us figure out where we need to go. So this is really exciting, but I can't really get serious about talking about on-demand service until we have the facts and the data. I think that's really going to guide us and help us determine where it would work, where we should maybe not look at doing that, what a different route would look like, all of those things. So there was a little disappointment here at Transit this week, but we're going to recalibrate, and hopefully I'll have a different update for you in May.
Great, thank you. Questions for Nicole on this subject? Anyone? I'll wait to see what you come up with.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Debbie,
Yes, sir.
Debbie?
Go ahead.
If I'm not needed, there's another meeting I'd like to go to. So you have a quorum, right? And
We have a quorum, and you've dealt with the subject that you were most important in, so
yeah,
we still have a quorum, so thank you.
I will put the puppy in the crate and see you in a little bit. Thank you, everybody.
See you.
Don't forget the Kong.
Okay, good point.
Don't forget to call. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to large employer outreach plan update, review draft brochures.
So in the packet, there was 3 different brochures, and there's 2. So I tried to do one that was more general, that could work for any of the large employers. It could work at tabling events, and that was the one that looked like a trifold brochure. So that one is more general. And then I did 2, and I tried to focus on the city employer, City Hall and Mountain View facility, where a majority of their employers are around our bus routes and bus stops. I did 2 different versions because I'm not sure what direction you guys want to go. Not sure if you want one that is more geared towards the employer or more general, or maybe we use both because they both might be beneficial. So the blue one is more informational, and it would be front and back, like a little rack car type thing. It doesn't have to be the size that it is. It could be a full page flyer. This is just kind of to throw out the information. The second one that was all white, it actually has the schedule of the routes that go by City Hall and that go by Mountain View, so that might be more beneficial for employees because they can actually see, oh, I need to be to work at 8 o'clock, so I need to take this bus and it will get me there. So I kind of want feedback from you guys. What are your thoughts for these? Do you think that we need the more, I don't know the word that I'm thinking of, but like a different one that is geared towards each large employer, or more of a general one that just kind of talks about all of our routes? So yeah, if we just want to go around the room, if you guys want to give me your opinions on what your thoughts are of the ones that were designed.
Well, I'm curious what Dave thinks, because we're actively trying to get people from the port. Do any of these work for you, Dave? Is there things that you think your colleagues would respond to better in one or the other?
When I was looking at them and providing some comments, I started to think that the overall format is good. I was actually even thinking of, I work right here in Point Hudson, right across from the mortgage office. And I think with the focus on the employer is good, but I thought that there would be some equal utility to just, offer these same tools or same information in trifold format right here for our RV park users and also mortgage tenants. Now it goes for Boat Haven too. So I like the focus on employers, but I think that the format also plays to location, and it not only shows what is directly available and how to get to hubs like Park and Ride and so forth, but it also shows jumping off points where you can get to other places like Squim and so forth. So I kind of liked him, at least for a start. I thought it was a great start, and it kind of is a real good point of discussion with my coworkers with regards to what the possibilities are. But we were also going to use these same things, just kind of put them up in our mortgage office too, because we do have some people from out of town. Sometimes they're hauling a car or something like that, but they also, can catch the 11 shuttle right here on Monroe. So and we do often get questions about that.
Okay.
So maybe what I'm hearing is maybe something specific for the port, and not just for port employees, but for folks utilizing those facilities.
I didn't even think about the RV park there, but of course that's quite an audience that would be available to ride.
Yeah.
So how do I mean?
We got
without-
mortgage tenants at both locations too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not just employees. I think we also have, when it comes to Boat Haven too, we have tons of tenants, contractors who work there too. So.
Right.
So if it's like location type of focus on it,
Rather
that
than
would be
employer
helpful.
specific. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, Brandon, you were at City Hall. Do these appeal to you? Are they helpful to people who work downtown, do you think?
I think so. But I liked what Dave said. I think maybe focus a little bit more on location as opposed to employer specific.
Okay. Becky?
Well,
Hospital
I-
Prairie?
Well, I agree with Dave for location, but also maybe specific to the hospital, which has 800 employees or something. That's really huge.
Yeah.
So to adapt some kind of trifold or something that's specific for the hospital, I think would be good. It's so diverse down at Boat Haven, right? There's so many different employers, and it's a lot of, there's not one huge employer down there. But I think that makes perfect sense for place there. But I do think for the hospital, it would be good. And, I don't know much about mill employees. Does anybody else know much about that?
No.
I know that their work schedules don't really allow.
Yeah.
It makes it difficult for them to ride transit, and since we don't get too close to the mill, they do have quite the hike to get to and from a bus stop. So I have one more question. So we do have a point-to-point schedule that we created for the hospital last year, and I'm thinking we could maybe do some kind of rack card or something that would list out that I don't know. I think we can look at that, and I think that that's really great for the hospital, not only folks visiting the medical facilities
Staff.
up there that can, but also staff.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I'm looking right now at the white brochure that we did for city employees. What if we did two? So what if we had something that we could give to John Morrow or someone at the city to say, hey, will you put these in your break room, or will you post these on your employee boards or something like that? Like, this is how a city employee can actually ride the bus so you don't have to park downtown. And then what if we did something, some kind of marketing, whatever, specifically for the port? So at the port, we wouldn't be trying to get all of their employees on the bus, but we would be really catering it to folks using the port who may also want to use transit to navigate throughout the community. What if we separated these two ideas? And if we did separate these two ideas, would it be, I'm just trying to think, would it be helpful if you're a city employee and you could look at something and it's like, we did the work for you. These are the shuttles that you can take and leave your car at Haynes Place so you don't have to try to find parking downtown. I don't know. Is that helpful, do you think?
I think that would have been helpful when I was trying to start riding the bus to work at City Hall.
Okay.
The only issue I see with the first one, with the schedules on it, is that it doesn't really tell you how to get there, like if you live in Squim or Port Hadlock or Brennan or something like that. Because not everybody that works for the city lives, in
Right.
Port Townsend.
So I think Kelly and I were kind of trying to figure out how how we can get you from Haynes Place to downtown. And that's why we had the QR codes at the bottom so that you could like go to our larger schedule. Because we
Sure.
can't route plan for everyone. But so really we were tackling it from, okay, if you've gotten yourself to Four Corners, or I'm sorry, Haynes Place,
Haynes.
how can you then move along? Or maybe this isn't helpful. And if this just isn't helpful, then we don't need
Well,
to keep doing it.
It's more just kind of like the shuttle is probably one of the easiest routes to figure out
Mhm.
from when I was trying to learn.
Uh-huh.
And if you get yourself to Haynes Place Park and Ride, you can always walk or bike or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Becky?
So this isn't about the brochures, but I think we might think about the times that the bus leaves. So if you go to work on the hour, you either have to get there really early, or you're late.
Yeah.
So I don't know because if they go out just like this with these times on it, I can just see people who work downtown going, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to be there 30 minutes early.
Yeah, you're either 25 minutes early or 5 minutes late always, and that's part
Always.
of the frustration with everything leaving on the an hour
Right.
at the Park and Ride. And I don't know what we do about that because all the other schedules are tied into
Right.
that
Yeah,
schedule.
I
So you're making a small change that changes everything. I don't know what to do about that. John,
Yeah.
you have any advice?
Thinking back to my days of riding the bus when I was working at the hospital in Olympia, that issue with the timing to get there either too early or too late is definitely something we should consider.
Yes. And I don't know what we do about that, but Tim.
Well, I think you're on that, whether or not to do this or not, depends on how difficult would it be to go to the mill, go to the hospital, go to the city and county, and even the port, and find out what are their rhythms for their shift changes. The mill used to be 3 shifts. I think it's 2 12-hour shifts now. I'm not sure what the hospital's on, but determine if that's when their employees are really moving, and then try to compare the schedules. And if they're not matching up, unless we go through a big schedule change, then we really can't help. But I think we can get that information first, and particularly with the construction going on at the hospital, there seems to be some way that should be an easy link for getting parking. But the one thing that I will tell you, just from traveling on the Port Townsend Keystone Ferry, there is nothing on there about Port Townsend at all. And they have a little area to set up for tourist information, and there wasn't anything on there. And Island County had one copy of their map taped to the wall, but that was it. That was nothing. And these alone, the fact that we are now literally a hop on, hop off from here to Kingston's to Sequim.
Yeah.
And to the point that we're talking about, not just to kind of focus on employees, but every one of our buses is a destination bus. It's going someplace pretty cool. So, that needs to be marketed, and people need to be aware of it when you walk off that ferry in the summer, and there are literally 10, 20, 30, 60 people at a time coming off there, and there's a bus, and they don't know it's free to go walk onto it. That's where I think these will come in really helpful. But I would like to dust off the old thing we did. We used to do the Key City Challenge and see if it comes from the top down to get the county commissioners and city council members and the port commissioners to say, let's do a challenge and see how many vehicle miles we saved, or however you want to measure it, where they've used the Park and Ride or they've used the buses to get to and from work. And that's based on how close the buses can get to the schedules that they need to work with.
So, to answer your question or to respond to your comment about the ferries, we did have a discussion with Washington State Ferries all of their advertising they farmed that out, so they don't control their own advertising. There's a company that does the card racks,
Is that certified
and
folder?
I'm not sure. We were sending out some feeler emails, and they don't do any paper, right? They don't want paper anywhere. So on their screens, that is also a fee-based advertising. We haven't gotten feedback yet as far as what they charge for that, and as far as putting rack cards. They are trying to even move away from rack cards. So that is an area that we're still looking at, as far as advertising or getting the word out on the ferries. So yeah, here's what I don't want is I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to put together something if we don't think it's going to be useful. I hear what you say. I hear what the comments about the shuttle times, but I'm not going to change shuttle times until I have some data that says you should be adding in a third shuttle so that you're leaving, every like 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Because I don't want to start making changes that won't be supported. So I hear what you're saying. I'm not quite there yet. I will say, if you want to get downtown to have an 8 a.m. start time, we do have a 7:40 shuttle. And also, as an employer, if you're not early, you're late. Chuckle. Can I get some chuckles? Nothing kills me more than employees walking in late. So everyone should be early. But I hear what you're saying. That we're getting people there too early or after the fact.
How come we never get credit for staying late?
Yeah, it got me there maybe 10 minutes early. I mean, it really wasn't that big of a deal.
Perfect, Brandon. You had time for coffee and
Yeah, it was
your
great.
computer fired up. So maybe I don't want to spend too much time because we only have a few minutes left. So maybe the direction. I don't know. I'm trying to think of our next step.
I just have one more quick thought is that, we know that folks at City Hall and probably, at the port as well, generally start or work an 8 to 5 schedule. So if you just kind of focused on maybe some of the routes that would get you to work around that time. Because I'm seeing this, this lists like all of the times that the shuttle runs.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Focus on the workout rounds.
Yeah, like I don't really need to know what the 11 o'clock.
That's a good point.
Except there people who work in some of the shops or the restaurants, which is probably the majority of the employees down there, right? Or do you think, how many employees do you think there are that come into the office every day at City Hall?
Oh, there was like 50 or something. Does that sound about right?
Right. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And they're all parking where now? On Monroe or up Washington?
Yeah.
There's the free parking by the theater. That's where most people park.
Yeah.
But a
right
lot
by
of
the
them do
skate
park.
park.
Yeah, a lot of them park up Monroe too, though. It's kind of, they do both.
Yep. Have we beaten this one for this time?
Well, if
'Cause we're-
Scott Walker here, we'd say put no parking on there and then see if we can get him to use the parking lot.
I think what we'll do, just for the sake of time, is just know that staff doesn't have a clear direction on this. So maybe think about maybe the direction you think transit should go or that staff should go. And just send us your feedback. So maybe just noodle on it, send Kelly or I some update or an email about, this was great, but maybe what if we did this? All of that kind of information is super helpful. And we'll just, we'll continue to kind of noodle on this.
Okay. I think
Sounds
that's
good.
wonderful, but I don't work at any of those places, so I'm not much help. So, thank you. Okay, since we're running a little late, can we have a ridership report?
So I can go over the ridership, but it was included in the packet. So hopefully all of you had a chance to kind of look at it. Again, we're still below 2019 numbers, but we have a steady uptick. So that's exciting to see. One area of concern is JTOC. Those numbers,
They're just not picking up.
they're not picking up. And again, that's part of staff's focus this year is to work on increasing just our presence on the West End and kind of do what we can. I did get some comments from folks saying, hey, I saw in the PDN that Clallam Transit's ridership has doubled since they went fare free.
Yeah, what's that about?
And that's super for them, very excited for them. However, I don't think we can compare ourselves to them. I don't think it's a fair comparison because we remained fare free while we came out of COVID and
Right.
they did not. So I don't think it's not surprising to hear that their numbers have really doubled. I will say that one area we can compare is Kingston. As you know, in January, we stopped taking fare on the Kingston Express. And so December, we had 252 passengers. January, we had 277. February, which isn't posted in this information yet, but we had 278, so we went up by one rider. However, keep in mind that February we had snow, so there was at least 2 days where we canceled our morning run to and from Kingston. So I think Kingston is showing us that, we're seeing that increase, and that's exciting to see. So that's
Just
good
quickly
news.
on that, it's, the ridership is it mostly going town, or East Jefferson going out of town? Or can you tell which is coming in? Which are visitors and which are locals, I guess, can you tell that from your ridership?
I cannot tell that from my ridership just because we don't.
You don't ask.
Yeah, we don't ask. We don't have a way to really know who's getting on the bus.
Oh, that's great, that's a wonderful number.
Yeah, I think the numbers are going up. You can look for yourself in the packet. I have the graphs in there as well.
Yes. I
Again,
appreciate the graphs.
we're still chasing down that 2019 number.
Yeah.
Some areas some runs we're getting pretty close. But again, I'm not going to get excited until I see it happen 3 months in a row. 3 months in a row means that we've got a trend. So we'll really start doing cartwheels when we see things trending for 3 months.
Any questions on this topic for Nicole? No? We done? Okay.
Wonderful.
Yes, it is. Okay, we have agenda planning. I think we've already heard what we're going to have in the May agenda, at least some of it. Anything anyone that would like to bring forward for the May agenda that we don't know about yet? No?
No.
Okay, we'll have a report on the moving in the right direction.
We will.
Okay.
Okay.
And hopefully a consultant, right?
And hopefully, and even more
Well, we won't
importantly,
have a consultant, but we might have a plan. We'll have a plan.
I like the sound of both of those. Do you need anything else for the May meeting right now? You can always send your thoughts and comments to staff, and that would be very helpful. We have a moment for public comment. Is there any public on that? We've run them all away. Okay. There's no public that would like to speak to us. So anything else for the good of the order? I don't see any hands raised. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you, Debbie.
This meeting is
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Okay.